Record. Okay. All right. And because there are many of you signed up today, I think we're going to kick off right away and we'll let people continue to join as they come into the waiting room. And if everyone would please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. Um, we are expecting quite a few, so we're not going to take time to go around and introduce ourselves verbally, but if we can just use the chat feature to do that, that would be great. So so I am Jillian Finkel. I'm the Deputy Director of Grow Smart Rhode Island and the Project Director for Main Street Rhode Island, which is the emerging coordinating program of Main Street America for the state of Rhode Island. I should also mention to please mute yourself if you're not talking, since there will be so many of us on this call today. Um, and also, yes, do go ahead and as you think of questions during the presentation portion of the day, please go ahead and put your questions in the chat, and there will be time for to address those questions at the end. So I am very, very thrilled that so many people are interested in our upcoming Main Street Learning Cohort for Rhode Island. Um, I have started, so 5 years ago, I started this process to try to bring the Main Street America program to our state, recognizing that it has existed in other states around the country since 1980. And over the years, there have been thousands of local communities that have participated officially in the program. And currently, even before we got involved, there were 46 other coordinating programs in 41 states and 6 big cities or counties, and or 5, I think that's what it came down to. And so Rhode Island now, having received designation and support from our legislature back in June, becomes number 47. So super excited and really excited to share with you what we've been doing. So because so many of you are new, I'll just kind of very briefly state that what we're doing is we are building a network that is intended to build capacity at the state and local level, especially to support and grow our neighborhood commercial centers and our downtowns and our village square commercial districts to be thriving places for small businesses and also for community. So we've been rolling out some programming over the past few years. Some of you may be familiar with our monthly Zoom roundtables. This is our November roundtable, and for those of you interested, on December 4th will be our next one with a discussion about marketing and promotion with Kristen Adamo from the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau. So that should be great. They're always on Thursdays at noon, so you can check our website or newsletter for information. Some of you may have either heard about or seen or attended our first ever Main Street Together conference, which was on October 25th. And some of those keynotes were recorded, so you can also go online and view some of those if you missed it and are interested. We've had some networking events. And now we will be launching our learning cohort. So that's what we're discussing today, hoping that you all are interested in applying and participating. So, so to kick us off, I'm going to briefly share my screen. Here we go. All right. So here we are, we're introducing our cohort, and we do have a question for all of you. We just want to know who's here. So, oh, go back. Go back. There we are. We're going to ask you through one of these fancy polls. Where are you coming from today? Like, what's your position and your place in relationship to your Main Street? So pick the one that best represents who you are. Let us know. I'll give you just a minute to answer, and we'll see who we have with us today. these are just some of the types of organizations that whose participants have been interested so far. There may be others that are not here, but um, yeah, just let us know. It looks like we've got some city and town staff with us, a few from city or town boards or commissions, some merchants associations or chambers, some individuals. Okay, great. Just one more minute. All right, great. So everyone can kind of see, I think I can share the results with you, how many we've got. A nice mix. So welcome everyone. We're so glad that everyone is here. Um, all right, we're gonna do another one. All right, let's see. We're gonna do our second one. We want to know our poll number two, and that is how much information do you already have? So as we talk today, let us know. Are you a total beginner? Are you a total expert? Somewhere in between, let us know so we can kind of tailor the way we talk today. Again, a nice mix, a lot of people with some basic knowledge. That's great. All right. So I'll end the poll and I'll share the results with all of you so you can see. A lot of people with some basic knowledge. Excellent. So Miriam, that may help you because we're actually going to move on and have Miriam, or we're going to admit everyone who has joined us. I'm going to stop sharing and allow our special guest to share with all of you today, and that is Miriam Parson. So she joins us from Main Street America, where she is the Director of Capacity Building for Launch. And so she has 15 years of experience leading nonprofit programs that implement asset-based community development. And her role at Main Street America, which is relatively new, is dedicated to collaborating with burgeoning coordinating programs like us here in Rhode Island to help launch and support the implementation of the Main Street approach in new regions. So she actually talked about Rhode Island when she interviewed for her current job. And we're so excited to have her today. She's going to give some background about Main Street America and the Main Street approach. All
Thank you so
right.
much, Jillian. Had to find my mute button. Um, can you all confirm for me that you see the slides and not my notes?
Yes.
Okay, thanks so much. I have two screens going and it's a little disorienting, but here we go. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for having me, and I'm utterly delighted to work with Jillian and your team and the whole state. I was raised in rural Connecticut, and so I have some idea of culture and what towns look like in Rhode Island. And we're launching a learning cohort as part of launching a new supportive Main Street program, because what we do nationwide is teach. We teach one of the most successful economic development strategies in the country, and then we teach teachers. And so Jillian's team will be the statewide teachers who we support to then train individual organizations in towns, and whether they're nonprofit or local government, ideally working together to pursue the Main Street approach. So I want to get into a little bit of what is the Main Street approach. Here is our team. Our programs team flies around the country nationwide and teaches economic development for both small businesses and nonprofits and residents, and also their local governments. So everyone's collaborating on a locally sustainable economy for our Main Street districts. And we believe that Main Streets are for everyone. Jillian mentioned that we worked with states, with cities. We work a lot with small towns in rural America. We work at the whole span because the idea is that we have enough, our places are resilient and have assets. It's a matter of defining those assets and lifting up a strategy that brings in more regional consumerism to our main streets to support small businesses and support families in our local downtowns. Nationwide, here are just a few stats on our impact just in the last year, or pardon me, last year. And what I always share is that when a place implements the Main Street approach, which is the strategy we teach, their small businesses see a $27 return for every $1 invested in their Main Street program. And so Jillian is working with us nationwide, and Jillian will be implementing with you this strategy with a high ROI for small businesses, which also means for families and for local government. Our strategy is built on preservation. We originated in the National Trust for Historic Preservation. We believe in the greenest building being the existing building, and that existing buildings, our historic buildings, are part of the character and culture and heritage of any place. And it's important to use those as assets for attracting tourism, but also attracting our own neighbors who can feel at home and feel belonging and be a part of their own community without it disintegrating, without it being knocked down. We, over and over again, for 45 years, going on 50 years now, have been studied as one of the most economically effective strategies for downtown revitalization. We start local, and oh, I didn't realize there was effects in here. There we go. We start with your local community, and that's who owns. That's who's in charge of the work. We are trainers, and we train others to train in the strategy. And I'm going to get into the 4 points of the Main Street approach next. But we want to be clear that we at Main Street America are nationwide. We're here as educators. We're here as strategists to help dig in. One of our services is visiting you in person alongside folks like Jillian to look at your assets, look at your market data, and say, here's how your business district could pursue a thriving future towards revitalization. You and your neighbors and your local government and your chambers, you're doing the work. We're here to teach, and Jillian's team will teach. Nationwide, we have all of these Main Street designated corridors, which are either small downtowns in rural places or business districts in cities. And then, of course, some of us live exurban, where there's a combination of both. And we have two levels. That's why you see two colors. You can pursue the first level, stay there forever, or you can move up to the highest level of Main Street America designation. We use the 4 point approach. Economic vitality, we've heard me talk about that this is about the Main Street small businesses and local housing and local customer bases. It's also about the character, so the design in preserving our historic buildings for our local culture, our local heritage. And it's about design in terms of safety, complete streets and safe streets, diversity in our business composition so that we don't have just one thing that's vulnerable to that thing no longer being economically viable. We do teach marketing. So the promotion is not only events like your summer festivals, but also a marketing strategy that's based in the local heritage and what will build economic vitality based on your business mix and your customer footprints. And then organization is the foundation. So we'll start there. That organization is how you bring together all of the stakeholders. And that's what this learning cohort is about, is beginning to form your organization, voluntary or formalized with a C3 or local government. Form your organization who will lead all of the projects in design, economic vitality, and promotion. And this is in itself a project of bringing people together from a variety of expertise. And there's a lot more effects on these slides that I knew about, so thanks for your patience with those. Here's an example of what a Main Street district's organization looks like, whether it's volunteer or formalized with a nonprofit. This is separate from your chamber. Sometimes a Main Street organization is a board within the chamber that just only operates the Main Street organization's programs. So you can embed. But what I'll say here is for each of the 4 points of the Main Street approach, you have a diversity of members. You don't just have one person heading that with like one friend. You have a bunch of members implementing different roles to get to revitalizing the design, the physical spaces, or revitalizing the restructuring the economic around market research. You have teams you work with. It's never on one person. Design, again, is about our physical place, especially the unique character of a place, because that's what makes people come back over and over again to their own town from a radius, and we widen and widen your market radius with our promotion tactics. And It, of course, attracts tourism for those dollars. In economic vitality, we're looking at diversifying the small business base and, of course, working with larger institutions to be a part, not a replacement of your main street. And then promotion positions your Main Street district as the center of not only commerce, but community life. And that's where you'll have festivals. A lot of us do First Fridays as a first step towards extending business hours later in the day, because that's often a difficulty for small business owners, but increases foot traffic to if everyone does it at once. Tactics like this, where you promote while increasing economic vitality. And this is the strategy that we teach, where we start with your organization, and that's this learning cohort. We'll start to establish your group. You'll work on a vision. We'll use data to understand your particular downtown market. And then we move into transformation strategies. And these are based on assets. What are your assets? What's the market data telling you about your potential customers, but also what residents want, what businesses want. And then here's a plan based on a couple of transformation strategies that make sense and are vetted again by almost 50 years of this working elsewhere all across the country. These are the six standards, the six measurables for how your main street is achieving the economic revitalization that we teach and how it's sustainable in the long term. Each of these has a whole bunch of points, and we'll teach Jillian and teach you all how to evaluate your work down these, basically grade yourself so that you see what you're doing well and where you can keep going towards strong revitalization in your Main Street district. Because again, it's led by the local organization of neighbors, businesses, local government, stakeholders. But what I want to touch on just a moment here is transformation strategies based in those 4 points of the Main Street approach. They often look like, who are our tourists? Or what is a family-friendly, family-serving business that we have that we can build on, or that everyone wants that we can attract? Some markets are based around um, cohorts like retirees or millennials or college students. So those are consumer-based strategies. And we offer a few of these based on your particular situation that we analyze with you after we know you have a knowledge foundation and a group that's organized to do the design work, the promotion work, the economic revitalization work. Sometimes, though, it's a product strategy. And so you end up with a combination of consumer-based and product-based. And this is often building on strengths. How is there already an agriculture-based region? And so your small business, your downtown celebrates that and has businesses oriented towards that local economic driver. In other places, it's a foodie town. And so that is promoted and is attracted so that you can build on each other's strengths by having a foodie district in your main street. Just as examples. So these 4 points that we teach you how to do down a menu of nationally vetted tactics, you choose what works for you. You work with your local property owners, businesses, neighbors, local government, of course. But the real goal between the Main Street approach is the long-term generational sense of place, a sense of we own this, this is our community, and we're building a thriving future, not just keeping what's here going. We are absolutely about you decide what your future can look like. Here are tools to get there. And these tools are vetted by a 50-year track record in economic revitalization across the country. Again, $27 return to local businesses for every $1 invested in just your town's Main Street program. And we say all the time here, places don't stay special by accident. This is part of this movement towards local-led tactics. You own your town's future, and we can breathe in new life with tactics that work across the country. You decide which ones make sense and which work for you. But we're here as teachers, and we're teaching Jillian's team to launch a statewide program that consistently provides technical assistance and training to anyone who wants to use the Main Street approach. We online have the Main Street Academy, so I always like to close here with we have tr free training. The membership is $95 for an individual, about $300 for an organization. But don't buy that yet, because if you're in the learning cohort, we have a half off secret place to buy an organizational membership, which comes with, I think, 6 logins. So everyone can learn from our online Main Street Academy while also attending our in-person trainings that we'll be doing with Jillian. So I'll close there. Thank you so much for inviting us into this room to talk with you all. And I'm going to find a way to stop screen sharing. Where is it? Let's see.
All right, thanks,
Okay, cool.
Miriam. I know
Thank you. Yeah. If you can
she,
take the screen, take it. I'm like struggling with my computer. Sorry.
all right, there you go. I know
Thank you
that
so
was a
much.
lot for those of you who are new to us, and I apologize. I did want to give you a bit of a foundation before we launch into what the cohort um, will be doing and what the application looks like. But there is, if, like I said, Miriam gave a presentation for us at the conference that was on October 25th. So you can go back and watch the Zoom recording of her presentation from the conference. That's on our website, and that will probably help make it a little clearer if you haven't been exposed to these ideas before. Really, the idea is that it's community-led, place-based economic development with many social benefits of connecting and place identity. And really excited to dig into it here. And as Miriam said, we're all learning, right? And so that's why this whole year is going to be really learning together. So I'm going to go back and share my screen again, right? I think there we go. And I did already ask you this question. I asked you that question. So those of you who've been joining us for roundtables or other events, or even now you've kind of heard what this is all about, but the question really remains is how? How do we do this, right? And so that's our next step, and that's what the learning cohort's all about. We're going to be doing, once we have our communities, we're looking to get approximately 10 teams, so a team from an individual community, to come to a series of 6 workshops led by the Main Street America team of experts that you saw featured in Miriam's presentation. One workshop on each of the 4 points, one on the transformation strategies, and then a final one where everyone can share, give peer feedback, get feedback from Main Street America, and talk about next steps. Um, there is homework involved. We're saying it's highly encouraged, but mostly, optional. Some as an individual and some as a team. There will be a slew of assessments, tools, and resources made available to you as a member of this cohort. The roundtables will continue. The roundtables will be open to all, but they will be aligned with what the cohort is doing. And as I said, we're hoping to recruit from you 10 of you to participate. The curriculum, as I said, will be kind of a much deeper and thorough examination of each of the 4 points, and then the transformation strategies, and then, as I said, the last one, the presentation. So I'm going to pause for a second before we do that, and kind of ask you all. Um, What area about this Main Street work do you think you know the least? So if you're thinking about those 4 points, or maybe there's something else that you're not sure which point it belongs in. But just curious, what as we go through is do you think you're most wanting to learn about? So this is organization, getting 5 votes, and economic vitality getting 4. Give you just another minute or two. Let's see, we've got 10 for organization, 2 for design, 1 for promotion, 5 for economic vitality, and 2 others. Those of you answering other, I'd be so curious if you wanted to add your explanation in the chat, um, just to hear what those are. And here are the results, so everyone can kind of see where we're at. Organization is what people are most interested in, which is so thrilling to me, actually, because when I started talking about this in Rhode Island, that was the one that I had the hardest time with. And so that is really encouraging that we are all growing together. So this learning cohort, what's the commitment? So really, it's a 6 to maybe 7, depending on scheduling month um, commitment, really. And at this point, although we'll want you to keep going with us after that, you're not committing to anything beyond that time frame. Approximately January through June, again, possibly going into the summer, depending on the scheduling, which we apologize has not been quite confirmed yet, but it will be 6 day long workshops. They will be on Fridays and Saturdays, so it'll be a mix, which is part of the reason why we're asking for teams as opposed to individuals to make these commitments. Um, Possibly 3 and 3, if we can make that happen. We're also looking at more the later half of the month to schedule those. The locations, they will be in person. They will move around the state. And as a side note, if anyone is interested in hosting and knows of a good space that can fit approximately 50 or so people, you want it to come to your community, please reach out. We would love to go where people want us. And then the monthly roundtables will continue. Like I said, those are once a month on Thursdays, um, between from 12 to 1 p.m. The homework, like I said, can be optional, obviously highly encouraged, but there will be some that's individually completed with the Main Street Academy and some activities that are meant for the team to look at as a group. And the only financial commitment is a one-year membership to Main Street America. And as Miriam said, they're giving us a discount. So the normal annual membership for an organization is $295 per year. And we will have the half off, $150. Once you join the cohort, you don't have to join to apply. And if it is a barrier, please do let us know. Um, so that is really the only financial commitment. And an organization typically has like a general login and then 3 sub-memberships. So for 3 individuals to have like designated access to log in to the Main Street America site and access the academy. So so when we say we want teams, what do we mean? The bottom line is we're trying to be completely flexible because this is a learning cohort and this is all new in Rhode Island, and we want all of you to feel comfortable participating. But what we are saying is that we think a team does need a minimum of 3 people. So 3 individuals, one of those people being designated as the primary contact to make it easier for us. So, but there's no maximum, right? Um, and so ideally, I mean, as individuals, we will all get more out of it if each individual can attend each session. And because each one is about a different point, and then one about the strategies, it really is ideal if there can be consistency and people can attend. However, life happens and you're a team. So what we're saying is that we do think it is required that at least one member of your team attend each session. And one thing I did want to say is that if you have 3 dedicated people and then you have more people that maybe can't commit, you can still put them on your team because there's no maximum number. And so maybe if someone just wants to come for one session, they can still be part of your team as long as you do have, the three core members of the team. So like I said, flexibility is the key word. And the composition of the team, those 3 people can be all from one organization or they can be from multiple organizations. They can be a mix of maybe some interested individuals and an organization. Maybe it's just 3 of you from a district that are not in any way organized, but you're all 3 interested. Everything, all of those compositions is fine. And we're saying ideally your city or town is either involved and part of your team or they are just supportive of you doing it. So that would be ideal, not required. And please feel free to post questions in the chat as we go along. And who might these organizations or potential partners or team members be? these are some of the types of organizations that are interested in Main Streets typically. And if you're a part of this or you have one of these in your city or town, I encourage you to reach out. They're all the types of people that we would love to know about the Main Street approach and learn more about it. So, and there may be some on this list that, or some that are not on this list that 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 are, that should be. So, again, flexibility. So, so as I said, I've been talking about this in Rhode Island for 5 years, and I've kind of heard all the arguments. And if you are reaching out to folks trying to put together a team, or you're kind of discussing it amongst yourselves, um, and these some of these kind of reasons come up, and I will share this with you so you don't have to write it down. But I've really I've heard it all, and I feel like I have an answer for all of it because it's so easy to want to say no, and I basically feel like it has proven to work in other places. It really has over 45 years, and we haven't really tried it in Rhode Island, and so this is our first chance. Um, uh, I mean, Main Street America has not worked in Rhode Island really at all since like 2000, which is 25 years ago. So, anyway, so I hope that everyone keeps an open mind and is maybe interested in learning more with us. So, like I said, it's all flexible. Some of the questions that have come up before include, what if there's, more than one district in the same city or town? Can we both apply? Yes. Or maybe you want to apply and be one big team. It's up to you. How many logins do we need for our team? Again, up to you. We're saying 3 is the core group. If there are more people and more people want logins, feel free. Like Miriam said, there's a $95 individual membership. And if it's a barrier, please let us know. Um, the homework, the assignments, and the activities, if if this is not the right time for your group to be doing it, you can take these resources and save them for later. That's also fine. Um, and it's also like doesn't you don't have to commit to following this approach, right? You can take the pieces of it that work for you. And that's why I said keep an open mind. I will mention that you will hear talk about the local Main Street organization, like the concept of starting an organization for a district to pursue the Main Street approach intentionally and specifically. And that is one way, potentially the best practice way to eventually someday maybe do that. But there, for every possible iteration of how this work can be done in a Main Street, there's a Main Street America member out there who's doing it that way. So it's really, they're really all different ways. It can be a city or town employee that leads it. It could be part of the Chamber of Commerce. It could be all volunteers. It could be a committee that's put together by the city or town. So there's so many different ways it can be done. And right now we're just learning about it. So there should be no pressure to adopt one way or another. There is an application that we're asking communities to fill out if they're interested in being part of this cohort. Because this is the first time we're doing this, we don't know how many of you want or are interested. So we just want to know some very basic information. Um, where's the district and what is it called? But a little bit about it. Who are the people that want to participate? What activities have been happening in your district, what you want to see happen with your district, and what you want to get out of it, which is more for us to know as we are moving forward with putting this all together. There are different options to upload different things. Those are optional, not required. The word counts are also just a guide, not required. The applications are open now. You can go on to our website and take a look at what we're hoping to know about you. And then the deadline to apply is December 1st. And feel free to reach out if you have further questions or you want help. You can go to our website. You can go to the Main Street America website. We'll be adding after today a FAQ document to the website. So all the questions, either that we answer today or we don't get to today, we will add to that FAQ. Feel free to reach out by email or call. Um, we're going to be putting together a template that you can use um, that with a description of what Main Street is if you're reaching out to people as and need some introductory language. And if possible, if you want us to come to a meeting, please invite us because if we can come, we will come. Um, all right. So I'm going to pause there and ask you all another question. Just all right, 1 second. And that is, as I've been talking about all the wonderful things I think I'm excited about for Main Street, what are the reasons, and you can check more than one on this one, that are you be most excited about in potentially applying for this cohort? So feel free to, as I said, you can choose more than one. Um, a lot of folks interested in supporting their small businesses, love it. A lot interested in building local community and social cohesion. That a bunch of people looking to implement activities and events. A few of you interested in some physical changes to the district, or I'm going to end there and share the results with all of you so you can see what everyone's interested in. And it's funny that the top two are build local community and support small businesses because when I go around and talk about Main Street, that's what I say, the two big main goals as I see them. So I'll stop sharing there. All right. And give you our contact information. So so that way, you can, as I said, feel free to reach out to me. You can also feel free to reach out to Miriam if you have questions about Main Street America. Um, and I'm going to leave this up for a second and just ask Caroline if there have been any questions in the chat that we should get started with.
There have not been any questions despite our encouragement. So I encourage everybody to ask your questions because I mean, I certainly have questions, so you should too.
All right, you can also raise your hand if you have a question. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can all see each other. You can all feel free. Please turn on your camera so we can see you and have a conversation.
We've got one question now from Jim. Do you have
Okay.
the date of the 6 sessions? This will be important in determining participation.
So Miriam is meeting today with her VP with the dates that we have requested. So as I said, we've requested 3 Fridays and 3 Saturdays. It's like January 23rd, February 28th, March 27th. These are all tentative. We're still May 2nd, I believe. And then we're thinking we might skip June as we plan the Grow Smart Rhode Island Summit, which some of you may be familiar with, as there will be a Main Street track of sessions at the summit. So we might do that for June and then maybe go into the summer for the end. Sorry that that is still TBD. As I said, Miriam's got her meeting today.
Um, and we've got a question from Jim Barnes is what is the best way for a citizen to participate? I'm going to interpret that, and Jim, you can tell me if I'm wrong, that you're meaning like a community member who is not attached to an organization specifically. Is that is that right? I don't know where you
Yes,
are, Jim.
yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
So truly, I mean, if you can get together 3 people who are interested, we even said a cohort could be 3 interested residents that have an interest in a place that is, a commercial district. So that is a team.
Um, and and Gary is asking, are there any quick examples of successful Grow Smart towns? Miriam, do you wanna kind of answer to that?
Me too.
Oh, sorry, Grow Smart towns. You saying Grow Smart towns, or I was just assuming that we were talking about Main Street.
So, I mean, if you are talking about Main Street, I
My
the
start. I apologize. I'm Main Street, Main Street.
so so Main Street America, and I'm speaking for Miriam here, but they have an annual awards called the Great American Main Street Award that really um, acknowledges excellence from across the entire country. And I
Perfect.
think there are eight semifinalists each year, and then three that actually receive the award. And the winners do have video profiles made of them that are all on the Main Street America website, and their stories are very inspirational and so varied, you know. And the one that I tend to point Rhode Islanders to is the story from Biddeford, Maine. I think they won in 2022. And just because everything about them felt very Rhode Island, very comparable to what we experience here, right? It's kind of an old New England town. It's on the water. You know, there was like the same type of mill industry that went away, um, and you know they made some difficult decisions in their town, but it decided to invest in their main street, and over like a 10 to 15 year period, ended up winning the Great American Main Street Award. So yeah, I if you're gonna watch just one, I might watch that one. But sometimes I also highlight Monroeville, Alabama, because I love how they identified a really unique um, part of their history. They happen to have had a large number of authors who like recognized authors who came from their town, including say, To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah, Harper Lee is from there, and um, so so they have really leaned into that like unique facet of their town to celebrate, and they have a literary festival each year, and anyway but there's lots of examples up on the website, and I don't think
Perfect.
anyone from Woonsocket is here today, but if you're looking for a really local example, the Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative has been participating in Main Street America programs and conferences for more than 10 years. And they are intentional about how they, as really they're all volunteers, but still think about the 4 points. And if anyone hasn't been to Woonsocket recently, you'll be really impressed with everything they've been able to do and be a part of. Of course, it's not just, it's not any one entity that's making change, but I like to think of the Main Street group or effort, as really being where a lot of the different efforts can get coordinated or at least like be a hub, for the other things that are happening because it all comes together in your downtown in case of Woonsocket or your Main Street district if you're more of a neighborhood or a village. So so yeah, locally I might send you up there. And in fact, we did do a walking tour there this summer, which was really wonderful to see all of that. There's a lot of new housing going in there. And great summer concert series that they've brought in. If you haven't been to their dinner on the bridge, it's really cool. So they're a local example you might want to check out. All right.
We do have a question again from Jim if he can join a team.
Well, Jim, send us your interest. If there's a team that is coming together in an area that you have a connection to, um, we'd be happy to help make that connection if we can.
Okay. Let's see. Perfect. Okay. Will Friday or Saturday sessions be held during the day or in the evening?
Oh, I didn't mention during the day. When I said day long, I meant like a 9 to 5, and lunch will be provided. So um, some might be slightly shorter, but we would ask you to please just hold that time. I see Caroline shared the application in the chat. Thank you. Um, we'll publish the dates as soon on the website and
Mhm.
send them out to everyone who signed up today as soon as we have them.
Okay.
And like I said, I know that ideally we would have had those dates confirmed already. Another reason why we are encouraging teams so that someone is the representative on a day other people can't go, who can take the notes and bring them back.
Any other questions? There's a lot, this is a big thing. There's certainly plenty of opportunity to ask questions. So bring them on in, you guys. It's also helpful for you to ask the questions because then we are knowing, what we need to be asking ourselves. Might you share a sense as to the homework?
Oh, sure. Um, so Miriam, do you want to talk about the homework? So, as she showed you, there is a new Main Street Academy. And so if you've ever been part of an online learning, it's sometimes a video or um, sometimes it's more like an interactive, almost like puzzle type thing where you read a slide and then you click on it. Um, so the individual homework, there may be articles to read, there may be Main Street Academy session video. Um, the team homework, um, so that would be of this as a group taking kind of an action step towards like the meat of doing the work. So it may be if your boundaries of your district are not defined, like can you meet with your city or town and define those boundaries? Can you get it in a um, like in an online mapping tool that could be shared? There is a like an asset self-evaluation where you Main Street. Miriam, do you want to pop in here and I don't maybe elaborate a little bit more on some of those things?
Sure, happy to. I appreciate you taking the reins because I was opening our document to look at what we talked about for homework. Mostly, the webinars in this roundtable room will offer homework to bring back to your community so that you can put into practice, even if you're not dedicating 6 days to be a part of in-person workshops. Those in-person workshops in the learning cohort will have hands-on activities to apply what you're learning to your own town or to an example town during the day. And then you can take that back to your coalition that you're building. I know we're building teams, people who are interested, organizations that would be interested. And then the other homework will be implementing asset mapping, implementing transformation strategies, but we'll teach you first and then you take it back. And that's why Jillian mentioned, if you don't have time between workshops, you still have the materials and you're sharing what you learn with the rest of your team who maybe wasn't there that day. But we want to be sure that there's more than one person to make sure one ambassador from the team is at every workshop. I mean, ideally, we want 3 ambassadors at every workshop, but yeah, the homework will be worksheets or a guided. So in this example I put in, just one last thing I'll say here, Jillian, the example I put in there is that we have a website tool that we host and that we offer for free where you can walk around and fill in your neighborhood's building data. So you have an asset map of where there are businesses, where there are vacancies, where there is potential, where there's plans, where there's safety issues so that you have a foundation to talk about what you want to plan for your Main Street as you get into what is our revitalization strategy. So homework like that, where it helps you progress, but everybody's at beginner level, and that's our expertise. Teaching from not having to know anything about economic revitalization will walk you through classes and steps.
Miriam, I apologize if I missed you talking about this, but did you specifically mention the transformation strategy as like the one kind of core homework that everybody does need to do? Or you might have said that and I missed it. Oh, Miriam, you're muted.
Sorry. Thanks for the prompt. You're right. I didn't dive in deeply. So, like you saw in the slides, you'll take the your organization, however many people and whatever level you're at, and apply the three other points in the strategy. And sometimes that's consumer based, sometimes that's product based. We work with you to identify those assets, but you can also do it yourself. We have a lot of self-assessment tools. And so we're going to host a workshop. The reason being that bringing us in as consultants to do that with you is an added cost. So we're going to do a group workshop style where our team will teach you this is how a transportation transformation strategy works. Here's how you find the data to inform your strategy. Here's how you work through the menu of tactics and decide what makes sense based on your town's assets. And then work through examples. That'll be the first day, working through examples. Then you'll take it home and work with your team between end of May and sometime in July. So you'll have a solid 6 or 8 weeks to work with your team in your own town and propose, here's what we think would work in our town based on our assets, our buildings, our people, our history, and we taking what we learned in the previous workshop. And so the absolute final capstone project is very academic, where you'll present, here's what we think our transformation strategy could be. And we'll have extra consultants in the room to give feedback on your self-developed strategy so that you continue learning and being able to move from the learning cohort to what's our first project? It might just be a farmer's market because we identified this lot and we know the owner and we can make it happen.
Very
This is
Gary.
about one step at a time. Thanks, Jillian. I appreciate that. Yeah. I'll pass it back. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so there's a question about funding, and oh, Caroline held up two because there's two questions. So the one is about funding, and I will tell you that it took me 5 years to get the legislature to designate us as a coordinating program. So this is new in Rhode Island. You all are our team. You are our network. As a network, one of our goals is to start making the case that this work needs funding. So so Commerce will be, so at least as of now, asking for the state to fund the Main Street Streetscape Improvement Fund for next year. That there is, we helped them expand the scope of that program so that technical assistance is now a fundable activity through that program. And so not only do we need to get that program funded so that all of you can have access to money, but we also need to go back to the legislature and ask them to continue funding the coordinating programs activity. And so as a cohort, I hope you'll be interested in being part of the team that is advocating for Main Street while we are learning about how to do Main Street here in Rhode Island. So it's certainly a goal of ours to raise the consciousness about this work, as we've been doing for the past 5 years, such that it's easier and there are more opportunities at the local level to access funding specifically for this work. It's going to be a group effort because you all make the case much better than I do, much better than Miriam does. So yes, it's going to be part of the future moving forward, and hopefully more and more opportunities for funding as we grow. What was the next question about discussing local and state policies, which similarly is a goal of us having an ongoing statewide Main Street coordinating program such that we can, as a network, identify where the problems are and then collectively advocate for change where it's needed. One again, we were only just designated in June, but this is on our plan for how we will operate as a coordinating program as we grow. So excited that you mentioned those things um, because
And
yeah, I
then
think
let's
that's a
see,
big part of it.
we also have a question from Tim, and it looks like the start of an answer from Miriam. Tim is asking, whoa, okay. Any advice for encouraging small business owners to take part in a team? They are often so stretched thin, but identifying champion business owners is so key. Miriam, you had the start of an answer, or you had an answer here. Do you want to like kind of talk about what you said?
Sure. Just you're absolutely right that small businesses are busy, which is great. We want them to be busy. And Typically, they're not part of the lead organization. Typically, they're brought in as participants in specific projects that affect them directly, like First Fridays. And so we look to business representing organizations like your chamber or your entrepreneurship hubs. Those would have a representative in the Main Street organization to collectively work on Main Street projects and direction and strategy together.
And I would say, since there's an unlimited number of team members that you can have, if there are some that are champions, even, if they're beyond the three, like if their numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, um, and they can only come for part of one session, but they want to, we would welcome them. I totally understand, that that's running a small business is really hard, right? So, so I hope that answers that question. And then,
Are
uh,
you seeing Gayton's
Aiden's
question?
question. Oh, well,
Uh,
I'll take this opportunity to shout out. I don't know if she's still here, Kate Felder from Rhode Island Energy, who've been our champion um, business communities sponsors. Really, shout out, shout out to you for recognizing the value and of the Main Street approach. And yes, we are continuing to try to make the case to the Rhode Island business community that supporting the places that support businesses is not only great for small retailers and restaurants, but it's really great for bigger businesses too. Because if we can take advantage and really be these, vibrant places, that's where, young, talented people want to live. And those larger employers want those young, talented people to work for them. Um, so yeah, that is an ongoing part of the process as well. And if you want to talk about that later, Gayton, let's do it. All right, we're coming up on time. So I'll just reiterate, this session's being recorded, will be posted on our website within a day or two, and that there are the recordings from the conference, which are available if you want more information. Other resources on Main Street America's website, including those GAMSA award winners that are really inspirational. If you want those, um, please reach out with questions anytime, or if you want us to come talk to your community. We will be posting the dates of the sessions as soon as we have them confirmed. And join us on December 4th for our next roundtable. And if you're not signed up for our Main Street Rhode Island newsletter, please note that there is a separate newsletter for Main Street from the regular Grow Smart Rhode Island newsletter. So make sure if you want both that you're signed up for both. All right. And I think that's all I have. Unless any any last words, Miriam?
No, thank you. I so appreciate being a part of this. We can talk about the learning opportunity. There really is no pressure to go to your local government and launch a Main Street organization tomorrow. The idea is that we're learning what we can do now for our town's heritage and economic vitality. And we say all the time that change is incremental. This is about what we can do this year, and then we'll move into what we can do next year, which will be deeper workshops and continued learning. And so, this is our year for learning the basics, and then we'll get deeper together. Thank you.
True. We have every intention of securing the funding to continue as a coordinating program and continue to provide expanded learning opportunities next year for this year's cohort. And if there's, interest, assuming there will be interest in having another introductory cohort, we would plan to do that as well. So, and then as we officially move into our official service as a coordinating program, there'll be further opportunities to operate more as the other states do. But for now, it's just about learning. Caroline, any last words from you?
No, I'm just like really excited to be here with you all and see how much interest there is in this because it's Jillian, we like to call it this is she is persistent. And so this is now happening and like it's gonna be great. So I'm just excited.
Thanks. Stubborn, more like it.
Stubborn, stubborn.
Right. But I believe in the power of this program to make a difference in Rhode Island. I feel like what it does is it harnesses our love of place and gives us a structure to that's been proven to work that we can lean into as much or as little as your community wants, so that we really come together in our local communities with our neighbors to make positive change. And yeah, I am really excited. That all of you were here today. Hope to see you soon. Hope to hear from you at the cohort application. And please do reach out if you need anything. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Well,